Red light on Jefferson Avenue, Brooklyn District, New York City, 2019. At 11:42 p.m., Jefferson Avenue was empty enough to feel harmless. That was the lie the street told Marcus Hale as he pressed the accelerator and slid through a red light that had been red long enough to mean business. Marcus was 32, a freelance logistics consultant with a tidy beard, a leased BMW, and a habit of believing rules were for people moving slower than him. No priors. No warrants. Just impatience, polished into confidence. 2 blocks later, blue lights bloomed behind him like a bad omen learning to breathe. The NYPD transit van had clocked him at 53 in a 30. When the siren chirped, Marcus should have pulled over. Instead, he glanced at the rearview mirror, saw the bulk of the van, and made a decision that would take years to undo. He floored it. The chase lasted 4 minutes. That is how long it takes for a life to split into a before and after. At the corner of Jefferson and Franklin, Marcus clipped a parked sedan, fishtailed, and slammed backward into the police van. The impact bent steel and shattered glass. 1 officer suffered a concussion. Another broke a wrist bracing against the dashboard. Marcus did not check on them. He bolted, shoes pounding pavement, lungs burning, vaulting a chain-link fence into a closed playground. Helicopter blades chewed the air above him. Dogs barked. Radios screamed coordinates. In America, fleeing a traffic stop is not just running from a ticket. It is escalation. Disobeying traffic laws becomes reckless endangerment. Hitting a police vehicle becomes assault with a deadly instrument, because a car counts. Running turns it into a felony flight. Each choice stacks weight onto the next until the law is no longer knocking. It is kicking the door down. Marcus was caught hiding beneath a maintenance shed, hands trembling, face streaked with oil and dirt. The arrest photo showed a man shocked by the speed of consequence. People versus Marcus Hale Kings County Criminal Court filed November 2019. Charges included reckless driving, felony evasion, assault on a police officer, destruction of government property, and leaving the scene of an accident with injury. The prosecutor asked for 7 years. The judge, Eleanor Whitcomb, read the impact statement slowly. The injured officer spoke about migraines that had not stopped. Another talked about his daughter, asking why he could not pick her up anymore. Marcus pleaded guilty to reduced charges in exchange for cooperation and remorse that sounded real enough to ache. Sentence: 4 years in state prison. 5 years probation after. License revoked indefinitely. Restitution totaling $186,000. The gavel fell. The room exhaled. That should have been the end. 6 months later, Marcus walked out of Greenhaven Correctional Facility. The paperwork was clean. Too clean. The reason had a name that carried weight in whispers. Jonathan R. Calder, age 58, venture capitalist, political donor, and unofficial kingmaker in upstate New York. Calder had known Marcus's late father, a union organizer who once pulled him out of a corruption scandal decades earlier. Debts like that ferment quietly until the right moment. Calder funded an appeal, leaned on contacts, and reintroduced doubt into a closed case. Procedural errors were discovered. A sentencing guideline misapplied. The assault charge was reclassified. Power did not erase the crime. It sanded the edges. Marcus's sentence was commuted to time served. Probation remained. The restitution stayed. The record did not vanish, but the cage did. Public backlash came fast. Editorials questioned why justice bent for those with connections. Protesters gathered outside the district courthouse, holding signs that read "Same crime, different outcome." Marcus disappeared from public view. Today he lives quietly in Albany, works under a different title, takes buses, waits at crosswalks, even when the street is empty. People who know him say he still wakes up to the sound of sirens that are not there. Traffic laws exist because physics does not care about confidence. Police chases end lives long before they end stories. And influence, when it intervenes, leaves a stain that never quite washes out. 1 red light. 4 minutes. A lifetime recalibrated. Albany, New York, 2021. Marcus Hale learned the shape of quiet the hard way. It lived in his apartment like an unpaid tenant. No television, no radio, just the hum of a refrigerator and the clock reminding him that time, unlike sentences, does not commute. Probation meetings came monthly. Drug tests are random. Travel restricted. Every form asked the same question in different handwriting. Have you had any contact with law enforcement since your last visit? Marcus always checked no. The public never forgot, even when it moved on. His name resurfaced. Whenever a chase went wrong somewhere else in America, comment sections dragged him up like a cautionary fossil. That guy who hit a police van and walked. The internet has a long memory and no interest in nuance. Jonathan R. Calder did not enjoy the attention. Before Marcus, Calder was known as a quiet benefactor. University wings bore his name. The judges shook his hand too warmly. He operated in the soft currency of favors, the kind that never appears on balance sheets. After the commutation, journalists started connecting dots. Donations made just weeks before the appeal. Private meetings logged but unexplained. A junior clerk leaked an email with Calder's name sitting where it should not have been. A state ethics committee opened an inquiry in late 2021. Calder testified once. He smiled through it, denied influence, framed the intervention as mercy, as respect for a dead friend. No laws broken, just doors opened. That distinction mattered. Legally. Socially, the ground shifted. 2 board seats evaporated. A gala invitation quietly rescinded. Power does not disappear overnight, but it thins like ice in spring. Calder never spoke Marcus's name again. The officers recovered. Mostly. Officer Daniel Ruiz returned to duty with limitations. He no longer volunteered for night shifts. He stopped riding in vans. He told friends it was fine, but his hands shook when traffic surged too fast. When asked years later about Marcus Hale, Ruiz said only this: running from a stop turns a mistake into a weapon. People forget that. Statistics backed him up. In the United States, traffic violations escalate into tens of thousands of police chases annually. Many end with injuries. Some end with funerals. Courts punish flight harshly because speed multiplies harm. A car is not just transport. It is momentum with intent. Marcus knew all of this now. Knowledge arrived late, like an apology that missed its recipient. By 2024, Marcus worked under contract for a regional supply firm. No driving required. No public-facing role. His probation officer described him as compliant, remorseful, forgettable. That might have been the hardest sentence. On the anniversary of the chase, Marcus visited Jefferson Avenue. The traffic light had been replaced. New paint. Fresh asphalt. Nothing marked what happened there. Streets do not memorialize near misses. He waited for the light to turn green. It took 47 seconds. He did not move until it did. Justice, in America, is not blind. It sees speed, damage, intent, and sometimes influence. Most people who disobey traffic laws face fines. Some face prison. A rare few encounter power that bends outcomes but never erases consequences. Marcus Hale escaped a cell. Jonathan Calder lost his invisibility. 2 officers carried injuries into the rest of their lives. And Jefferson Avenue stayed quiet, waiting for the next person who would believe a red light was a suggestion. Kings County, New York, 2025. True crime never ends where the court record does. It lingers in filing cabinets, in sealed motions, in people who decide to talk once the risk calculus changes. It started with a retired court clerk named Irene Bellows, 69, who had kept a banker's box under her stairs for years. Inside were copies, not originals. Calendars, visitor logs, a sticky note with one sentence written in blue ink. Calder called. I want assurance. Bellows did not leak the box for money. She leaked it because she was tired of being careful. An independent journalist, Rafael Montero, published the story in March 2025 under a headline that landed like a dropped glass. The article laid out what had never been proven but was now hard to ignore. A closed-door meeting between Calder and his senior appellate advisor. A recommendation memo rewritten. Justice is more than prison time. Reputational damage, lost trust, and long-term restriction often outlast incarceration. Accountability delayed is not accountability denied. Consequences sometimes arrive sideways, years later, when attention returns and patience is gone. The safest choice is almost always the simplest one. Pull over. Stop. Breathe. Let the moment end before it grows teeth. Thank you for trusting me with this story and letting it unfold slowly, layer by layer. Stories like this matter because they turn abstract laws into human cost and caution into memory. I appreciate the space you gave to explore consequence, power, and responsibility with honesty and care. If you ever want this adapted into a documentary outline, podcast script, or classroom discussion piece, I'd be glad to help.